going on, guys? TBF Gaming here with a building episode. So this is going to be a little building montage episode. We want to build out what we call the Hall of Heroes. So it's something I started to build on my actual single player playthrough, but it wasn't quite as grand and as big as I wanted it to be. I feel like, you say Hall of Heroes, it should be our little memorial spot slash display area for our accomplishments and our lost dinos here in Ark. So that's what we're trying to build here, a little Hall of Heroes. I got the little foundations laid out. I'm going to fill it in the middle. I just wanted to make sure that I had a flat enough area to where I'd be, at least for the most part, be able to build mainly with foundations. Probably a couple ceilings over there in the middle where the ground dips down a little bit. But for the most part, we should be able to use just foundations and then kind of build our structure up from there. So we're going for a mainly stone structure. We'll build it out as best we can. Hopefully it looks pretty cool and we're all said and done. So this is going to be our first ever building montage. We're going to use console commands. I've got fly and infinite stats all enabled, so this is just a straight building. This is not on my single player playthrough. This is on the actual island, which we're not playing on right now. That way we can just completely toy around, kind of see what we come up with here. So this is completely unscripted in terms of what the build is. I just kind of have something in my mind that I want to make, and we'll see if we can make that happen here. So here we go. Hall of Heroes, first build. Let's hit the music. while. There's still a few other things we want to do to it to make it look a little bit better, but this is kind of the general like outline of what we want to build here. So kind of give you a quick idea of what it looks like. Alright, so that's our little Hall of Heroes. So pretty happy with it, how it came out. Still want to do a few changes to kind of make it look a little bit better, plus what we got to do on the inside. There's definitely a few things we would have to do. Let me just show you what there is going inside. So in here you got the little walkway down to where you have your like little gravestones for any of the dinos that you lose. Kind of cool. And then your trophies that you get from the bosses. When you start beating a few of the bosses, you can get trophies from them. Start hanging those up there. The Rex heads, stuff like that you can hang up from those. And then down below, all the way underneath, you have like your own like kind of like little like treasure room type thing, where you get the artifacts and you can actually display them down here. So you display all the artifacts down here behind some glass. Makes it look kind of cool, kind of almost like a museum type thing for them. So let me go back outside and I'll show you what it looks like at night, because that's when it kind of really shows you what it looks like. Let's move out here. Alright, let's go on this side here. So we'll show you through some magic. Give me just a second. There you go. Back at nighttime kind of shows you what this whole thing looks like. Kind of a cool look. Let's see if we can get to our bird over here. It's pretty dark. You can kind of fly around and kind of see what it looks like from the front. We'll lighten it up just a little bit. It's pretty dark. You can kind of see what it looks like from the front. I'd like to add some more torches on it, or if you had like on the PC, if you had a mod where you can actually do the torches that are always on when you look at them. And then on the inside, you can see what it looks like with all the torches lit. Kind of cool. The little hall. And then of course the artifacts, because of the glow they give off, they look really cool at nighttime when you come in here. You got each one of them displayed and shows off the color. Alright. Alright, so that's going to do it for the montage today. Just want to do a quick, not so quick, montage of kind of a build we wanted to do. We did like a small version of this on our actual single player, but it didn't come out quite as big as we wanted. It came out so small that I didn't really like how it came out at the end. So we wanted to do an actual like full-scale version of what we wanted to do there. So I hope you guys like it. If you could, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next episode.